Going through my parents' trash that caused us fights. Warning, some audiences may find this content disturbing. View at your own discretion. Welcome to the House of Reddit. Today, we share some recent r/TodayIFuckedUp stories posted on Reddit. Going through my parents' trash that caused us fights. So this happened on Christmas night. My 30 male, wife, 28 female, and I are visiting my parents' house for Christmas. Earlier in the week my dad had given each child and spouse $100 each in an envelope in place of doing stockings this year. My wife put hers in a safe spot and I put mine on top of the dresser in our room. A few days later my wife was cleaning up and thought she had looked in the envelope to make sure it was empty before she threw it away. Christmas came and gone and we were packing up to leave, when I noticed I didn't pack the money and couldn't find it. We searched through pockets, bags, and the house and couldn't find it. My wife vaguely remembered tidying up and states she might have thrown the envelope away a few days ago. So I decided to go through the trash in hopes of finding it. I calculated back the days and guesstimate which bag it would have been in. I donned some disposal gloves and start digging. While digging I found a box of unopened toilet bowl cleaner tablets, the kind that turn the water blue each flush. Earlier that day it was brought up why my father refuses to use the master bathroom connected to their bedroom and instead uses a smaller hallway one. It is because my mother started using these blue toilet tablets and he can't stand the smell or sight of them. My mother's argument as to why she still uses them is because she does the cleaning of that bathroom, and that's what she likes. Remembering my mother uses these tablets and assuming my father threw them away without her knowing, I pulled them out thinking it would be funny to stir the pot. Boy was I wrong. When I explained I was missing money and went through the trash, I asked my mother why those toilet tablets were in the garbage and she lost it. She started yelling at my dad asking, do I have to start going through the trash regularly again and what else have you thrown away? Furious at him for throwing them away. Apparently this has been an issue before in their marriage, that he would throw away things he doesn't like and I just caught him doing it again. I have never seen my mother that angry and yelling. After she left the kitchen where this all went down, my dad went to the trash can and took out a decorative ceramic Christmas cookie platter and said just to be safe as he set it back on the counter. A plate of cookies was gifted to them on it. As we left the next morning she was still upset at him. But on a high note we found the $100 in the trash. Doing my close friend a favor and ended up seeing a dead body. Backstory: my next door neighbor has been taking care of his older brother, approximately 49-year-old male, every week by buying him groceries, providing him a place to shower and wash all his clothing etc. because he had a myriad of health issues and lived in FEMA trailer with no heat available. He's been doing this since we moved in next door to him 2 years ago. Every Saturday morning our neighbor, let's call him Steven, would get in his car and drive the 10 minutes to go and pick up his brother and would then take him to Walmart or the grocery store and load him up on food for the week. He would then take him to get lunch somewhere of his choice, and then they would go back to Steven's house to do all his laundry and he would let his brother take a bath. Around 3 p.m. we would see him load up and take his brother back home and then continue on with his weekend. It was clockwork every Saturday. We often gave him things too, like freezer food, blankets, a nice space, heaters etc. versus donating it to shelters. Well, Steven went out of town on Wednesday to see their family a few states over. Despite begging his brother to let him take him to a hospital, BC, he was looking so badly in the last few days, and asking him to come with him to see the other family, he refused and stayed home alone. Fast forward to this morning, I get a phone call from Steven before 9 a.m. on Christmas Day. We take care of his cat while he's away, but I still thought it was odd he was calling me on Christmas morning like that, so I answered to make sure he was okay. He sounded very worried and mentioned that brother hasn't answered his phone since I saw him Wednesday and I don't know if he's okay. I knew he didn't know how to ask us to leave our Christmas morning with our daughter to do a wellness check on his brother, so I politely offered to go and knock on his door and make sure he was okay. He was persistent that it was okay, but I knew he called for a reason, so I offered again. He didn't want to call the police. BC, his brother smoked weed and felt that it would cause issues if they busted in, and he was asleep with a joint next to him. He finally said okay, please go, so we did. We get to his trailer and I knock a few times, no answer. I knock harder and call out his name and say that we're there because Steven can't reach him, no answer. I went to see if the door was unlocked, and it was. So I called Steven to get permission to walk into his brother's home and mention that the door was unlocked. His voice just dropped and said, "Make C, my husband, go look. He never leaves his door unlocked. He's dead, I just know he's dead." So, I waved my husband over to open the door and we found him in his bed, leaning over the side, passed away. We had to call the police and explain everything to the EMTs and firefighters, all the while processing that we just walked in and saw a dead body of a dude we had seen every weekend for the last 2 years. It's been a really weird thing to try and mentally work though today. It took us a few hours this morning to even be able to function normally again after it all happened. Any advice on how we can process this would be greatly appreciated. Traumatized my girlfriend and kid by stabbing the crap out of myself. Let's set the scene. My girlfriend, her kid, who's mine now. Christmas morning. Ugly sweaters, hot cocoa, the works. Our first Christmas is all together, so we wanted to make it a big deal. The gifts get unwrapped, everyone's happy with what they got, so naturally the best course of action would be to stab myself, right? My birthday was last week. And my girlfriend went all out on an extremely fancy and sharp pocket knife for me. Personalized engraving, lifetime warranty type thing. So I'm using it to pop off zip ties as if they weren't even there, when I slip just the tiniest bit and sink the blade a solid 2 inches into the meat of my index finger. Profanity. Loud, robust profanity. The GF runs downstairs and casually informs me that we will be taking that always pleasant Christmas trip. The kitchen looked like someone tried to high-five the garbage disposal. So we make it to the car, and this woman realizes we aren't wearing shoes, so runs back inside. Now I can't give much personal recollection from this point, because I was completely detached from the world. The next thing I'm aware of, it's several minutes later, and she's yelling at me, the kid's yelling at her, the 911 operator is asking her if I'm breathing. I am in a panic trying to figure out who's hurt. From her perspective, I walk out the door to get in the car and she turns around to grab shoes and masks. She's in the house for about 30 seconds and then runs out to the car. When she sits in the driver's seat, I'm hunched over in my seat, totally unconscious, eyes rolling, blood spurting around her car, totally limp, making dying sounds. She freaks out trying to get me to sit back up and wake up. She is on the phone with 911 for a solid 3 minutes before I come to. Probably stitches or glue in my future. They were so shaken up by the whole thing, and she still hasn't let me near anything sharp. Gave my daughter her own Spotify account and was surprised when she listened to explicit content. Okay, so I got my daughter a Spotify account a couple of weeks ago, but this FU happens 3 days ago. I have a 7th grader who loves music. Usually she just listens to the radio or I play music for her, so I thought it would be nice to let her have a Spotify account of her own. My daughter was really happy and she started listening to a lot of new music. I listened to multiple genres, so I would send her a song that I thought she'd like, she'd send songs to me, etc. Fun was had by all. That is until a couple of days ago. I was in the dining room setting up the table when I hear "Mom, is 69 a 30 position?" I damn near drop the plates and ask, "Excuse me? Where the fuck did you learn this?" She replies, "Ariana Grande's song." So apparently Ariana Grande has a CD called Positions and it's about 30 positions, and I inadvertently gave my 7th grader access to this and loads of other not so kid-friendly songs. I, a woman with a PhD, got my child a Spotify account and didn't even consider that this would give her access to explicit music. I don't lie to my kids, so I just looked at her defeated and said yes. I thought it would be the end of the conversation. She then asked me to explain exactly what 69 is and my dumb self told her to Google it. Realizing my error, I grabbed her phone and told her to never ever Google anything 20 Sewall on her phone because the targeted porn ads will never stop, which led to a conversation about porn and advertisement algorithms on Google. My daughter handled the whole thing like a champ, but honestly I'm worried I might have scarred the kid. Oh, and I still had to explain the position to her. Tripping balls while on LSD at Christmas dinner. Wow, what a day it's been, folks. To premise, I'd like to clarify that I'm pretty experienced psychedelic user and know what to expect on a trip, but nonetheless fucked up here pretty bad. So Christmas morning starts about 10 a.m. for my family, since we all like to stay up late partying on Christmas Eve and then sleep in the next morning. About 10:30 a.m. comes around and we are sharing presents and everything and talking. I eventually end up going back to my room for a bit to chill and put stuff away while my mom and sister bake some cookies. I'm in a pretty great mood, and decide I'm going to take some LSD I've had for a bit, usually microdose about 3 to 4 times a week. I plan to get cozy and draw a bunch with a new sketch pad and drawing kit I got while eating a bunch of fruit and just vibing honestly. I take a little less than a full tab because I wanted to have a blast but still be able to function. These were from a different batch however and not the kind I use for microdosing, so I had no idea what they were dose-wise. Well, let me tell you something, they were dose strong. I'm talking at least 200 micrograms per tab. They were gel tabs. It was the strongest acid I've ever had in my life. So I dropped right about 3 p.m. and spent about an hour getting cozy and everything ready, not expecting much to be honest, and not knowing what I was in for. So about an hour and a half after I took some, I start feeling it hit me really intensely and know that what I took was a lot more than I bargained for. Realizing that I'm soon to be tripping balls, I try to find some things to distract myself and basically lock myself in my room claiming that I'm not feeling good. Mind you, my parents aren't the type to just let that slide, and they wanted me out there participating in family activities. After some brief interactions with my family, and staring at the floor for way too long, I realize that I need to get in my room as the peak is about to hit soon and they will clearly be able to tell that I'm tripping balls. Probably wouldn't have realized now that I look back on it, but oh well. It's about 5:30 p.m. now and I'm just vibing to music in my room having a good time, but then I hear that dreadful call. Insert my name, dinner time. I heard that and thought I'm done for. My walls are literally moving and I'm laughing my balls off at how stupid my feet look. Not exactly the right mindset for a family dinner. So I make my way down to the table where my parents and older sister are sitting passing food around the table, and slowly make my way to my seat. Before I get there however, my dad stares me right in my eyes and says, "Insert name, why are you hiding in your room so much?" I made eye contact with him and let me tell you my pupils are absolutely huge right now, basically taking up my whole eye, but thankfully he doesn't notice. I stuttered something along the lines of not feeling the greatest, must have been the seafood last night. He shrugs and continues passing the food. Everything on the table looked very saturated and all sorts of colors were popping right out at me, and their faces started radiating colors in a way and it was hard to look at them without staring and getting too deep. Not to mention they are arguing about politics, as always, so it's really killing my vibe and getting me into a bad trip setting. They are trying to make conversation with me, and I am trying so hard to act as normal as possible, but it's basically impossible. I made it about 5 minutes before I said that I'm not hungry and that I need to use the bathroom. So I sat in the bathroom for about a half hour where I endured the most intense part of my trip, and came out a new man. I walked up the counter and took some ibuprofen to act like I was sick and stuff, then just hid in my room for the rest of the night. Here I am, on the come down, typing this out for you all. Merry Christmas. Sent the wrong version of a selfie to my family group chat. This morning, I got a really cute hoodie. I'm not very confident, and it's rare I find an outfit that I feel like really nails me or makes me look great. And this one just worked for me. So, I got dressed up, and took a pic in the same pose, stupid idea, twice in a row. One I pushed my elbows out and let it pop over and expose a bit of nipple. The other, my whole breasts were covered. I sent the covered version to friends. Cool, they got a cute sweater pic. Sent my nip slip to family group chat. I don't talk to them regularly anyway except my immediate family, so I don't care if they can't talk to me lol, but I was so embarrassed about it. This group chat has cousins, aunts, uncles, and my grandma. It's about 20 people large. My family either ignored it, or asked me why I sent it. Some texted me separately telling me about it, and I played it off that I didn't notice it instead of admitting I meant to send that to someone else. My family doesn't talk to me much anyway, like I said. I'm deaf and they're not, and most of them never bothered to learn any sign language. So not much lost if they don't want to talk, lol. People told me it was funny and to post here I'm embarrassed. I don't know when I'll stop being so embarrassed. I'm not in the worst position I know, but all day I'll be having fun and relaxing, then suddenly I remember this and get really embarrassed. Not sure when that will fade. It's not even about them but that I even sent it to them. This feels like when your sibling walks in on you in your room changing or something, except I literally actively sent the photo so it's on me not them. It's so embarrassing. Merry Christmas. Hope I'm the biggest idiot around and nobody is doing really bad. Grabbing the wrong ass. It's Christmas Day evening. A good friend asked to crash at our house. Matt is in town just for the night, and my wife agreed to let him spend the night as long as he understood we were in sloth mode today. No one showered and we were all wearing matching Christmas-themed flannel pajamas. He didn't care. I decided to commit hygiene, but the rest of the family stayed in their matching PJs. I have 4 daughters 17, 16, 12 and 10 years old. They love their matching PJs. Matt arrived after our dinner. So and he and my wife both drink Pinot Noir around the kitchen island while he had a late plate of Christmas dinner. An hour or so later, Matt and I are in the game room, watching TV. I'm sitting on one couch, and he is sitting in the chair to my left. His chair is about even with mine, so I can just barely see him in my peripheral vision, while looking at the TV. While watching the TV, I see my wife out of the corner of my eye. She is still clad in her Christmas flannels, and she starts to refill Matt's wine glass. I thought it would be hilariously funny to grab a huge handful of her ass and startle her, hoping that she might accidentally spill wine on Matt. I made sure to be stealthy and not look in her direction. I didn't want to give her any sort of advance notice. So, with my head looking directly at the TV, I reached to the left and grabbed ass. A split second later, I got a reaction. But it wasn't what I was expecting. My wife didn't yell at me. And she didn't spill any wine. I did get yelled at. "I'm not mom," was shouted at me by my 17-year-old as I looked up to see that it wasn't my wife pouring Matt a glass of wine. She huffed and stomped her feet as she left the room, exasperated. I'm certain that I'd just scarred her for life. My wife came in the room wanting to know what in the hell just happened. Holy shit. I just gave my 17-year-old a Christmas goose. This perfect storm had several things come together to make itself a reality. Never has my daughter served wine to our guests. Apparently, my wife asked her to top off his glass. Both my wife and my daughter were still wearing the same outfit. I could only use my peripheral vision to keep my attack stealthy. The room is dark. Only the fireplace and the TV are illuminating the room, and they are both in front of me. I laughed so hard I had trouble breathing. 3 hours later, my abs still hurt. Later, my 16-year-old entered the room and announced herself, "This is your daughter, not your wife." I came to say good night. Most of us had a good laugh. I'm sure I will be paying for therapy for the eldest daughter in the near future. If you enjoy this video, please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you have any suggestions for future videos, please let us know in the comments below. Turn on the notifications to know when we post new videos. Thank you for coming to the House of Reddit.